Welcome to a journey into the heart of an institution that many Canadians have come to fear, the Canada Revenue Agency, or as some have called it, the legal mafia. For decades, this governmental body has been tasked with collecting taxes, a duty essential to our nation's functioning. Yet, beneath this bureaucratic facade lies a narrative of power, aggression, and unchecked authority that has left countless Canadians in financial ruin. In this exposé, we aim to pull back the curtain on the CRA's alleged corrupt practices, painting a picture of an organization that operates not merely as a tax collector, but as a formidable force capable of devastating lives with its heavy-handed tactics. Imagine an entity that wields its power with the precision of a scalpel, yet with the brute force of a sledgehammer, leaving in its wake shattered dreams and broken families. The CRA's methods have been likened to those of a crime syndicate, an untouchable entity that functions above the law. This segment introduces a story about the individuals caught in the crosshairs as much as it is about the institution itself. Through personal stories and the courageous testimony of a whistleblower, we will delve into the inner workings of an agency that has for too long operated without accountability. This is not just a tale of numbers and statistics, but a human story, a chronicle of lives upended by an organization whose reach extends into the very fabric of Canadian society. As we explore the depths of the CRA's operations, we will encounter tales of small business owners who have seen their livelihoods crumble, single mothers who have struggled to keep their families afloat, and elderly pensioners who have faced financial destitution in their twilight years. But how did we arrive at this point? How did the CRA, an agency designed to serve the public good, become what some describe as a legal mafia? The answer lies in a culture of aggressive collection tactics, where meeting financial targets takes precedence over citizens' well-being. It's a place where the pressure to perform has fostered an environment of fear and intimidation, both within its walls and beyond. As we set the stage for the stories that follow, we invite you to consider the broader implications of the CRA's actions. What does it mean for a society when its tax agency is seen as a foe rather than an ally? How does the perception of corruption within such a vital institution affect public trust and the social contract between the government and its people? In the coming segments, you will hear from those who have dared to speak out, including an anonymous whistleblower who will reveal the inner machinations of the CRA. This insider's account will offer a rare glimpse into the pressures and practices that drive the agency's relentless pursuit of debt collection. We embark on this journey not merely to expose wrongdoing, but to ignite a conversation about accountability and change. The stories you will hear are not isolated incidents, but part of a larger pattern that demands scrutiny and reform. As we peel back the layers of this complex narrative, we hope to empower viewers to question, to challenge, and ultimately to demand a more transparent and just system. So join us as we venture into the shadowy corridors of the Canada Revenue Agency. This is a story of courage and resilience, of individuals standing against a monolithic force, and of a nation's call for justice. Together, we will explore the depths of an institution that has for too long operated in the shadows and shine a light on the need for accountability and change. In the shadowy corridors of the Canada Revenue Agency, where numbers often overshadow the human stories behind them, one voice emerges, a whistleblower, cloaked in anonymity, ready to unveil unsettling truths from within. Imagine a workplace where meeting quotas is not just a goal, but a mandate, an unyielding force driving employees to adopt ruthless measures. We operate like an untouchable crime syndicate, the whistleblower confides, their voice tinged with frustration and sadness. As the whistleblower recounts their experiences, we learn of an internal environment steeped in fear and compliance. Our anonymous source shares chilling anecdotes of individuals suddenly flagged with debt despite having no outstanding dues. The whistleblower's voice trembles as they recount the personal toll of being part of such a machine. This testimony is more than just an exposé. It's a call to action, a plea for transparency and reform. In this segment, we are not merely passive observers, but active participants in a narrative that demands our attention and outrage. As we transition from this poignant testimony to the personal stories of those affected, we carry the whistleblower's message. This is not just a story of corruption and complicity, it is a testament to the resilience of those who dare to speak out. The whistleblower has spoken, and now it is up to us to listen, to act, and to ensure that their courage is not in vain. In the heart of every story lies the pulse of human experience, and today we delve into the lives of those caught in the crosshairs of the Canada Revenue Agency's relentless pursuit. These are not just tales of financial missteps or bureaucratic blunders. They are narratives of real people whose lives have been irreversibly altered by the very institution meant to serve them. Meet David, a small business owner whose dreams of entrepreneurship were shattered by a single letter from the CRA. David had built his business from the ground up, pouring countless hours and immeasurable passion into his work. His dedication was not just for profit, but for the community he served. All it took was one miscalculation by the CRA to bring his world crashing down. Accused of owing thousands in back taxes, David found himself in an unending battle against a faceless entity. As he struggled to prove his innocence, the emotional toll seeped into every aspect of his life: his family, his health, his spirit. Then there's Sarah, a single mother navigating the complexities of parenthood with grace and resilience. For Sarah, every dollar counts. Every moment matters. She juggles work and home, striving to provide a stable life for her children. But the CRA's error turned her world upside down. A sudden notice claimed she owed an insurmountable sum, a figure that seemed to have appeared out of thin air. Overnight, Sarah was thrust into a financial nightmare, scrambling to keep a roof over her children's heads. The stress of the situation was palpable, manifesting in sleepless nights and anxious days. And then there's Mr. Thompson, an elderly pensioner who had dutifully paid his taxes throughout his life, believing in the system and its promises. In his twilight years, Mr. Thompson should be enjoying the fruits of his labor, yet he finds himself ensnared in the CRA's web of errors. A notice arrived, cold and impersonal, demanding repayment of taxes he did not owe. For Mr. Thompson, the fight against the CRA is not just about money. It's about dignity, about standing up for what is right. But as the legal fees mount and his savings dwindle, he is left questioning the fairness of a system that seems to prey on its most vulnerable. These stories are not isolated incidents. They are part of a larger pattern of bureaucratic aggression that leaves families in distress and communities fractured. The emotional scars run deep, affecting not just those directly involved, but rippling out to touch friends, neighbors, and colleagues. It's a reminder of the human cost of institutional errors, the lives left in disarray by a system that feels more like a machine than a guardian. As we listen to these voices, we must ask ourselves, how many more Davids, Sarahs, and Mr. Thompsons are out there, silently bearing the burden of the CRA's mistakes? How many more families will face the same uphill battle, their cries for justice echoing unanswered in the halls of bureaucracy? These personal accounts are a call to action, a plea for accountability and change. They remind us that behind every statistic is a person, behind every case file a life, and behind every error a story that demands to be heard. In the face of such overwhelming challenges, the resilience of these individuals shines through. Despite the odds, they continue to fight, not just for themselves, but for the countless others who may one day find themselves in similar situations. Their courage is a beacon, illuminating the path toward a more just and transparent system. As we continue this journey, let us carry their stories with us, allowing their experiences to guide our understanding and fuel our determination for reform. The time for change is now, and it begins with listening, with empathy, and with action. In the intricate tapestry of our society, the media has long been heralded as the vigilant watchdog, a beacon of truth shining light on the dark corners of power. But what happens when that light is dimmed, when the watchdog becomes a silent bystander? Today, we unravel the role the media plays in shaping our perception of the Canada Revenue Agency. For years, Canadians have relied on the media to hold powerful institutions accountable, to question and challenge the narratives that shape our understanding of governmental actions. Yet, when it comes to the CRA, the media's voice has been eerily muted. Instead of scrutiny, there has been silence. Instead of investigation, there is complicity. The CRA, often described as a legal mafia, operates with an air of untouchability, shielded by the very narratives the media perpetuates. Stories of families plunged into financial despair, of lives shattered by bureaucratic errors, are left untold. These are stories that should stir outrage, stories that demand to be heard. Yet they are silenced, buried beneath layers of governmental rhetoric. Why, you might ask, does this happen? How does a body tasked with informing the public become an accomplice in its deception? The answer lies in the intricate dance between power and narrative. The media, in many instances, has allowed itself to be swayed by the allure of access, the promise of exclusivity, and the fear of repercussions. In doing so, it has chosen to echo the CRA's official line rather than question its integrity. Consider the countless Canadians who have faced the brunt of the CRA's aggressive tactics. Their voices are drowned out, their stories untold. The media, with its vast reach and influence, has the power to amplify these voices, to bring their plight to the forefront of public consciousness. Yet, it remains silent, its complicity a deafening reminder of the power dynamics at play. This silence not only distorts public perception, but also perpetuates a cycle of injustice. When the media fails to question, to investigate, it allows the CRA to continue its practices unchecked. It creates an environment where accountability is absent, where the powerful remain unchallenged, and the vulnerable remain unheard. The impact of this complicity is profound. Public perception is molded by the stories we are told, and when those stories are incomplete, or worse, absent, our understanding is skewed. We are led to believe in the infallibility of the CRA, unaware of the human cost of its actions. In this narrative void, the CRA's portrayal as a necessary enforcer of tax laws goes unchallenged, while the reality of its actions, marked by intimidation and error, remains hidden. The media's silence becomes a tacit endorsement, a nod of approval to practices that devastate lives. But there is hope. The same media that has been complicit in silence can also be a force for change. By choosing to tell the untold stories, by giving a platform to those affected, it can reclaim its role as a true watchdog. It can demand accountability, question the status quo, and shine a light on the injustices that have been allowed to fester in the shadows. As we reach this pivotal moment in our documentary, we urge the media to step up to fulfill its duty to the public. It is time to break the silence, to challenge the narratives that have been accepted without question. The stories of injustice are waiting to be told, and it is the media's responsibility to tell them. To the viewers, we ask you to question what you hear, to seek out the untold stories, to demand more from the media you trust. Because in the end, it is not just the CRA that must be held accountable, but also those who have chosen to remain silent in the face of its actions. The power to change the narrative lies in our hands. By demanding transparency, by holding the media accountable, we can begin to reshape the story, to bring truth to light, and to ensure that justice is not just a word, but a reality for all Canadians. As we reach the conclusion of this exposé, it's time to shift our focus from the shadows of corruption to the dawn of accountability. Canadians have long placed their trust in institutions, believing them to be pillars of integrity and fairness. Yet, as we've uncovered, the Canada Revenue Agency, an entity meant to serve the public, has been operating under a veil of secrecy. This revelation is not just a call for concern, but a clarion call for action. The stories we've shared are not isolated incidents, but a tapestry of systemic failure that demands our immediate attention. The anonymous whistleblower's testimony laid bare the internal pressures and unethical practices that have become the norm within the CRA. These revelations are a testament to the courage it takes to speak out against such a formidable entity. We've heard from individuals whose lives have been irrevocably altered by the CRA's errors. Stories of a small business owner facing financial ruin, a single mother struggling under the weight of unjust debt, and an elderly pensioner stripped of dignity in their twilight years. These are not just statistics or faceless numbers. They are our neighbors, our friends, our family. Their pain is our collective responsibility. The media, often heralded as the watchdog of democracy, has in this case played a different role. By failing to amplify these voices, They have allowed the narrative to be shaped by those in power, leaving the public in the dark. This silence must be broken. The stories of injustice must be told, and the truth must be heard. Now more than ever is the time for Canadians to rise, to stand together, united in the demand for accountability and reform. The CRA must be held to a higher standard, one that reflects the values and ethics of the society it serves. We must insist on transparency, fairness, and justice, principles that should be the bedrock of any government institution. To achieve this, we need your voice. We need your courage. We need your action. Share this video, spread the word, and ignite the conversation. Let this be the catalyst for change, a movement that sweeps across the nation, compelling those in power to listen and act. As we close this chapter, let us not forget the faces behind the stories. Let us remember the resilience of those who have suffered and the strength it takes to fight for what is right. Together, we can demand a reformed, transparent CRA, one that truly serves the people of Canada. It's time to turn outrage into action, to transform despair into hope. The future of our nation depends on it. Stand up, speak out, and be the change. For justice, for accountability, for Canada.